I don't care if they claim that they are an NPO. They are not an NPO. Maybe legally they are, but they're in it to make money and gain power. They're not in it to look out for the best interests of their working members. And that's why they're all pushing for the higher minimum wages and stuff, folks. Because that just gets them more money so they can buy more power and more influence. They want to control you. But, you don't have to think about that little issue alone on how far they're willing to ignore the law. And yeah, in this case, one got caught. But we also talked yesterday about Hilda Solis and her friend Kathleen Sebelius going and violating what's known as the Hatch Act, where they were doing political campaign fundraising and telephone calls and networking during duty hours that were set for official business from places that are established for official business. And if you don't remember, let's listen to this voicemail that Hilda Solis left while she was still in her position over there with Department of Labor before she ended up being forced to resign.
You have one saved message. Main menu. To listen to your message, press 1. To send a message. First saved message.
Hi, this is Hilda Solis calling. Just calling you off the record here. Wanted to ask you if you could help us get folks organized to come to a fundraiser that we're doing for Organizing for America's for Obama campaign on Friday at La Fonda at 6 p.m. Ruben Smith, an attorney, and his staff are helping us put this together. There's a lot of folks that we know that are coming, but wanted to ask you if you might help contribute or get other folks to help out. I would encourage you to call this number, Myra Jimenez, his assistant, at 714.
Redacted.
And you can call Ruben Smith yourself, who's a good friend, an attorney, good friend of mine, at 714.
Redacted.
And it's for Friday event at La Fonda. So got it. We're just trying to raise money to show that we have support here in Los Angeles. Thank you. Bye.
So how about that, folks?
And this message. To delete this message, press 7. To save it in the archives, press 9. To resave. End of messages.
Notice when she called from her office, she stated, I'm just calling off the record to ask you to contribute. Well, it's saying off the record. When you're calling from your office, that's saying, I'm thumbing my nose at the law, and because I said those 3 magic words, it means you can't quote me and use it as evidence that I've just broken the law. Yeah. Sorry. Doesn't work that way, honey. You violated the law. But of course, nobody's going to do a dang thing about it. Just like, people are going to do this. People are going to call out people on both sides of the aisle, when they mess up. Recently, John McCain was trying to call out Rand Paul, asking him if he's ever met with ISIS people. Yes, Johnny McRhino McCain is sitting there trying to play hardline anti-terrorist national security buff with Rand Paul. Of course, we know Rand Paul is a little bit isolationist. He's not as bad as other people, not as bad as his father is. But, he does kind of carry a little bit of the libertarian torch and kind of, wanting to only act on a global level when absolutely necessary. And he's welcome to his views. There's a lot of Americans that share those views, especially those who they may have been for the wars earlier on, but now they're tired. But the unfortunate reality, folks, is once you start a war, you can't just say, I'm tired of fighting and quit. No, it doesn't work that way. Once you get involved, whether somebody else starts it and you engage to fight back, or you're going to be dumb enough to start it like Hitler did. you're in it to win it, and you're in it to the end. We didn't start this war against terrorism. We didn't start the global war on terror. We were attacked. We're fighting back. Well, we decided to fight back. We can't cease that fight until the enemy is defeated. Period. There's no negotiating terms of surrender with an enemy who is not beaten to a pulp and in a position where they have to surrender or cease to be. And any negotiations in between that is going to be seen as a surrender. And in a lot of ways, and in most cases, it usually is. So that's my 2 cents on the whole concept of if you're going to fight a war, you have to fight it. Well, I don't know if Johnny McCain actually has met with or seen actual ISIS terrorists, actual Al-Qaeda terrorists face to face. I can't vouch for what he has or hasn't seen. And he's sitting there questioning if Rand Paul's ever met with them. I will say if McCain has met with them and he let them pull the wool over his eyes as to what they're really about, then maybe McCain needs to go and retire to some old folks' home where his Alzheimer's can be well cared for and his dementia, because obviously he's succumbed to those diseases. And I don't joke about those diseases, folks. My grandmother died of those diseases. So I'm not kidding when I say that if he's starting to think that way, he might want to go and get himself taken care of for his and his family's welfare. And that's not a joke. I have sat across the table from members of Al-Qaeda Iraq, the Islamic State of Iraq, which they've kind of joined together along with Al-Qaeda of Syria and Al-Qaeda of the Levant, and Ansar al-Sunnah, another terrorist organization that has been known to work with Al-Qaeda, what they've now joined in. And they've joined together to form this group that's now being called ISIS or ISIL or the Islamic State or whatever flippin' term you want to use for them. They're all the same groups. It's Al-Qaeda Iraq and Ansar al-Sunnah joined together, and it's their political arm that's known as ISIS or ISIL. That's causing all the horror and all the terror over there. Well, look, I have sat across the interrogation table from hardened terrorists. I was not an interrogator, folks. I was there as a subject matter expert who knew my targets. I'm the one who found these guys, found the evidence of what they may or may not have been guilty of, and found out what they did, figured out what they were planning to do, found out where they were, and handed that information over to the door kickers at various levels, who would then go and preferably capture the individuals and bring them in, and then we determine if our intelligence was correct, if the evidence we have is correct, and where to go from there. And then, of course, if it was correct, of course, we want whatever information they may have so we can go after the other bad guys. Well, I, as a expert of what we were pretty sure the bad guys knew and what they were up to, would sit in with the interrogators. And I also would have my own questions, which the interrogators would get the answers for me using their various tricks of their trade that I'm not going to discuss. But they had ways of making them duck, and they did not involve stress positions or torture or waterboarding or any kind of physical discomfort at all. That doesn't mean there wasn't a little bit of mental mind games. But no physical torture involved. I would sit in the interrogation room, or interview room, if you prefer that term, with the interrogators. And I would look these I'm going to bite my tongue here and not say the word I actually have for them, but I would look these subhumans in their beady black eyes and see the evil in there, the perversion of their own what they claim is their religion, the perversion of any religion that claims to be good and righteous and moral. I would see pure evil in there. So if McCain had actually met with them, having gone through what he went through in Vietnam, he would undoubtedly stare into the eyes of evil and recognize it for what it was, and would not be flapping his gums the way he is, and would not be flapping his gums towards Rand Paul the way he has. I doubt he's actually met with the actual hardened terrorists. I very much doubt it. May have met with people that sympathized with them, but not the actual hardcore guys. Because once you do, folks, you don't forget it. Speaking of things going on over in that part of the world, got some other interesting news out there. Anybody who's known me, well, I shouldn't say anybody who's known me, people who have known me well, and especially those who have worked with me when I was still in uniform or shortly after getting out, or had the displeasure of having to interact with me in a public venue where somebody has been reckless enough to ask me about my views of on Iraq and the way that we left Iraq, the way we surrendered in Iraq instead of finishing the mission as we should have, and my take on things and what things that I saw over there, without, of course, breaching any kind of level of classification, knows that I obviously, first of all, thought we pulled out too soon, didn't think we finished our mission over there, and I didn't think that Iraq was ready. And I've said that as much. I couldn't give examples in the general public because a good portion of that was either classified or just flat out saying it out loud could jeopardize what good was done over there, and our soldiers who are over there still trying to advise, as well as the Iraqis who are over there actually doing their best to fight. So I didn't want to expose their vulnerabilities in a venue where the wrong people could hear, even if it wasn't classified or isn't classified. So I kind of watched my tongue. But when a senior official finally admits it, then I'm not so reserved in citing certain examples, and I'm sure I'll be giving more in the near future. In fact, I'm in the middle of writing a book about my 4th tour in Iraq, when I was on an advisor team dealing with the Iraqi military and the Iraqi special police. The federal police, a special unit within the federal police, the Shurta Wataniya. So I have some direct experiences with that, and I happened to be there and witnessed at the end of the surge, and then the whole changeover and the way they changed the mission around, the way the Obama administration screwed over that mission. And I'm in the middle of writing a book about that, and the decisions that Obama made in the administration, or the prosecution of that war and that stability operation, really put our forces in greater jeopardy and really jeopardized the success of the mission, the success of the Iraqi troops in taking the lead of defending their own country. And they never got the chance to defend their own country. They were not completely trained up. They were not fully ready and capable. And now General Dempsey, who at one time was in charge of the training and advisor program in Iraq and Afghanistan, he's now the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and he has publicly stated what I've been saying since 2009, when I was over there in these changes started taking place and they started talking about the pullout. And then, of course, implementing policies that were just stupid! And that's that Iraqi's military and their police forces were not ready. We pulled out too early. We knew when the pullouts were going on that it was too early. But too many people were afraid of their jobs politically as far as officers within the military, and they just fell in lockstep and didn't publicly state anything. Well, now that Dempsey has, I'm just wondering how much longer he's going to be in his current position as the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, because he's saying a lot of things now that that the White House doesn't exactly agree with, and I'm glad that he's having the candor to actually do his job and stand up against the stupidity. But we've seen how others have fared when doing the same thing in the past, including General McChrystal and several others, including lower-ranked officers who have been forced out of their jobs, handed pink slips for political reasons, not because of their competence, not because of their loyalty to our nation, but because they were not politically aligned with the plans and policies of the current administration. Just because they disagreed with them. Not because they disobeyed, because they disagreed. I can disagree. I spent 24 years in the military. I disagreed with many decisions. It didn't stop me from following those orders I disagreed with, as long as they were legal and lawful. So, there you have it, folks. If you go over, and I've got the link over on in my program notes on my website. That's PG Matuszak at blogspot.com, or not blogspot, but .blogspot.com. If you go over there, and look at that over on Blogger, my program notes, one of the last ones talks about that. The story there, hosted over at AP, and Dempsey kind of stated this at I think it was an EU meeting, but he admitted that we pulled out too early, and the Iraq's military just wasn't ready, and we need to go and restart that training mission and get them ready. But before we do that, we've got to kick the bad guys out of there to give them a little bit of free room, elbow room, in order to do that training that they so need. Well, folks, that's it for our news of the day, especially that stuff coming out of the federal government. Again, go on over to BuzzPo and look at the articles over there, folks. I'm going to have one up later today discussing the very issue that I just talked about with General Dempsey's admission to what I've known for a while. And I'll be having that up sometime later today. As well as my article from yesterday, which I covered the Obamacare numbers and how people are going to be disenrolled because the government can't figure out what data it needs, doesn't need, or can't get the data to be properly processed, so they're putting all the blame on people who attempted to enroll. And at the same time, they're not going to admit or not going to reveal how many people actually paid for their policies. I mean, enrolling in the policy, it doesn't become effective until people actually pay. Well, they're refusing to let people know, or let us know, how many people actually paid for their insurance and activated their policies, completed the enrollment process, as it were. So I have that article up over at BuzzFly. I published it yesterday, so go ahead and take a look at that. And in the meantime, folks, this is your Hump Day, Wednesday, September 17th, 2014. I've been your host, Paul-Gregory Matuszak, and this has been the Mouth of Matuszak Show. Make sure you call in tomorrow, 520-226-8567, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow morning from 8 to 9 Central. You have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you tomorrow. All right. I'm Paul-Gregory Matuszak.